In my first derby at St James's, and I scored the winner. And the next day I went into Newcastle, being, wet behind the ears, not really knowing what the rivalry was because I'd only been there a short time, and people were coming up to me and saying, "What are you doing in New? You shouldn't be here. Get out." And I'm like, "Why?" And they say, "Well, you've scored the winner against us, firstly, and secondly, we don't like you." So it was quick to the missus, "Come on, we need to get out of here."
Do you still think you could do a job? I mean, it must cross your mind.
Sometimes. I certainly miss playing. Don't particularly miss the training an awful lot, and I think a lot of ex-pros say that.
Yeah.
But certainly match days, the buzz, the feel, and scoring goals, there's no better feeling.
Do you think that's one of the hardest things about being a professional footballer is the downtime and staying disciplined in that downtime?
I can certainly understand and relate to why young players and certainly professional players go through a lot of problems, i.e. gambling, drinking, because they're paid an awful lot of money, and when they go home at 1 o'clock, 1:30, they're sitting there, if they're single, what else is there to do?
But you almost didn't make it to the pros, right?
Yeah, no, correct. As an apprentice at Southampton, and when I was released at 18, it was as though my world had collapsed, had fallen in, and it certainly felt like that for the first 2 or 3 months. So I felt that my path to professional football had gone. I was able to get a job straight away in a factory where my mum worked upstairs in the accounts department, and I just kept myself ticking over. And as soon as I could get into a non-league team in my area, I was straight in there to play football, because I had that belief that I would never give in. Or give up on my chance of being a professional footballer.
So you always thought that? You always thought when you were playing for Baldock that you would end up as a professional player?
I never give up. I believed in my own ability, and I believed in that right away until I retired. So, I kept going, got my opportunity at Watford under Glenn Roeder, and I took it with both hands.
When you were starting out, there was a respect that young players had for the pros and all the older players in the first team that isn't as strong as it nowadays as it was then.
You're dead right. When I was growing up, I'll give you a scenario when I was at Birmingham, walking down the corridor, I'm a senior pro and I was alongside another senior pro, and one of the young pros, well, he wasn't even a pro, he was a scholar, comes along and just taps one of our first team players around the face, and he called him son, and that would never have happened in my day.
Yeah.
When I walked down the corridor when I was at Southampton, if a Matt Letizia or someone like that walked down, you wouldn't even look at them. You'd bow your head and just walk past unless you were spoken to.
Let's play a bit of word association with some of the players and figures, I guess, from your footballing career. Niall Quinn?
A leader.
He wanted to come back in for you, didn't he? He wanted to bring you back to Sunderland.
He did, yeah, I nearly went back. I kind of agreed to go back at one point, but in hindsight, when I looked at it, didn't think it was the right thing.
It's hard to go back, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and I think it was the best decision I made, because the 6 years I had there, I left, having a great affection with the club and the supporters, pretty much loved up there, and if I'd have gone back and not done myself justice, I could, not be spoke about in the same, breadth as I am.
Described it as a fishbowl, being at Sunderland, a big, messianic figure, basically. You were the hero of that town.
It's an incredible place to play football when it's going well. And I remember Glenn Roeder, who was at Newcastle when I was at Watford, I said to him I had a chance to go, and he said, "Listen, if you go up there and do well," he said, "it's the best place to play football." He said, "But let me warn you, if it doesn't go well, it's the worst place to play football."
Rodney Marsh.
Well, I certainly proved Rodney wrong.
To put it in context, he said, the 99-2000 season, you're not going to score more than 6 goals, I think is what he said.
What that did to me at the time, it inspired me to succeed, and I've had that all my career.
What's the liveliest dressing room you've ever been in?
I would say probably the Sunderland at the time when Reedy was in charge, and we had Alex Ray at the time who was going through his problem. We had Quinny in there, we had Steve Bold, we had Nicky Summerby, Mickey Gray. We had a great bunch, a great core of British players that would socialise together.
Let's talk about the different managers you had at Southampton that season. 4, was it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was Strachan, Sturrock, Steve Wigley and Harry Redknapp.
Yeah. Chaos,
yeah. Great word for it. Simple as that. When I went to Southampton, looking forward to me, I was going back to the club where I was an apprentice and spent 4 years as a schoolboy, so 6 years of my life associated with that club. you need stability, and I've got to give massive credit to that club now for where they are from where they was when I was there is quite remarkable.
Is it primarily an instinctive thing? Is it in scoring goals down mainly to instinct?
My dad always used to say that one of his biggest sayings was, you'll score more goals by passing the ball in the back of the net than you will by smashing it, and that's something that's stuck in my mind forever.
Kevin Keegan.
Grateful, but also frustrated that he didn't give me a better run in the England team. Growing up as a kid, that's all I ever wanted to do, play professional football and play for your country. And when I got the call, and I was still in the Championship at the time, or the old league, Division 1, playing for Sunderland, it was unheard of. When I look at those photos on the wall, the England squads I was involved in, there were some fantastic players in there, and you know, I was very, very privileged.
You clearly felt it was the right time to stop playing, but was that a very hard decision for you?
There was a couple of records there to be beaten as well, and you know, in hindsight, I perhaps should have gone for another year, because then I could have maybe become the oldest outfield Premier League player ever, which, you know, I think would take some beating if I'd have managed to score in that time, being the oldest goal scorer. So, you know, there was some records to break, but could I really put myself through another pre-season? The rigours of training, my ankles were getting sore, just for maybe getting the odd few minutes here and there at the end of a game. So I think the timing was right, and the opportunity to go into coaching.
As a player, for me, it was a very terrible feeling that I was not playing, and of course people think that, oh, he's just sitting there for his money, but it was not like that.